This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. You would think that something like Donald Trump putting on these quote-unquote historic tariffs would make people unite in a sense, because the people are the ones who are getting screwed on this issue, and the people should stop looking at one another and arguing and debating about all of these things that, you know, the government and the media tell them to argue and debate over, like DEI and trans in schools and all this stuff that they get everybody to talk about. Meanwhile, when the government comes out and does what they just did with Donald Trump, you would think that conservatives who are supposedly awake to conspiracy theories about how the US economy has to be destroyed and a digital currency has to be presented and the dollar has to crash, that they might start saying, hey, you know what? This stuff that Donald Trump's doing, I don't like it. And my 401k is down, or whatever money I might have had invested in the stock market is down big time. I've lost all my savings, right? Because Democrats and conservatives are both in the stock market. And for the most part, both of them obviously care about the value of the dollar because that's our currency that we use in America. But they're not. They're not. And this is the propaganda that you're seeing circulating. They're convincing these people that the only ones who are losing money in the stock market crash are billionaires. And people are believing it. These are all the stories that they've pumped out over the last couple of days. Billionaire Bloodbath, world's richest, brace for nearly $900 billion in losses in just 48 hours of market mayhem. It triggers a historic wealth wipeout among the global elite. And of course, it needs to be worded like that with global elite because it makes conservatives think that, well, even if I have a little bit of money in the stock market, the big globalists like Jeff Bezos, right, and Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg are the ones who are really losing money. And Elon Musk is losing money too, but he's losing it for the right reasons, right? And these people are under such mind control that they actually believe this crap. They actually believe these stories that are coming out. And again, we see it getting pushed from every media outlet. Every mainstream media outlet's talking about how these billionaires are losing money. So people out there go, well, at least I'm not losing billions of dollars. Maybe I'm losing $20,000, $30,000. They actually believe that these businesses, these people like Jeff Bezos, that if their company goes down, their stock price, that they lose money out of their pocket. Now, they try to tell you that guys like Bezos, how much stock they own. This is one of the illusions that they put out there, where you could actually even look up yourself. Oh, how much stock does Jeff Bezos own? Oh, he owns 9.56% of Amazon. Oh, how much stock does Elon Musk own? 13%, right? This is an illusion. These people have no investment in the stock market at all. And if they do have an investment in it, trust me, they're told ahead of time, hey, you know what? We're going to crash the economy. So you might as well short the market or short your own company stock so that you could make even more money than you already have. And what you're seeing take place is the wealth transfer in America. But they're deceiving people into thinking that it's just billionaires are the only ones who are losing their money. Thus, Donald Trump is going after the global elites. And it's that pathetic that they believe this type of propaganda. There's even stories out there at the same time about Bill Gates, right? Because all those guys lost all their money. And guess what? Bill Gates is going to give all his money to charity when he passes away. When he leaves, he's going to leave less than 1% of his wealth to his kids because he's a philanthropist, right? These guys, people are trying to make it seem like the billionaires aren't going to be the ones who continue to prosper and continue to rule and control the world. This is an illusion that they're putting out there. Bill Gates is not giving his money away to charity. Jeff Bezos is not going broke. Mark Zuckerberg is not going broke, and Elon Musk are not going broke. In fact, they're the ones who are behind all of this. These corporations are the ones who run the American corporation. But this is what they're doing now. Because this is an issue that should unite people, this is an issue that should make conservatives question Donald Trump and if he's really working for the deep state, as they like to call him. This is what they're doing. I don't care about my 401k today. Maga writes off the chaos as Trump tariffs roil the market. The alt-right media, Benny Johnson, one of the biggest puppets out there for the alt-right. Losing money costs you nothing. It builds character. Sounds a lot like a cult. And of course, we know that it is a cult, because you could show them right in front of their faces Donald Trump committing an act with a minor, and they wouldn't care. You could show Donald Trump saying all sorts of creepy things. You could show Donald Trump actually bringing in the AI governance. You could show Donald Trump, the father of the vax, even talking about on day one that he wanted to bring in an mRNA cancer cure, and they still ignore it. So all the conservatives are banding together like the communists they are, right? Pretending that they're not communists. They're nationalist patriots, right? They're all banding together, and this is the stuff that's out there. Cry more. I lost 93% of my 401k fund, and I'll gladly lose another 9% if it means making America great again. I stand with Trump. That's how deep this psychosis runs. These people don't even care if Donald Trump takes the clothes off their back and the food off their table and their life savings away. They will commit to the party. And that's why I've constantly called it dual communism, right? Somebody posted this and it made perfect sense. Maga under Biden complained constantly if the stock market even went down 500 points for a day. Complain about eggs, right? Including all that stuff with the gas, which they should complain about. But of course, under Trump, they don't care about their 401k. They don't care about the price of eggs. They don't care about how what this really is in disguise is a national sales tax on consumers. Listen to this, because this is a talking point that the alt-right media is pushing when it comes to the stock market. And again, it's not about the stock market. It's not about if you're invested in the stock market, because the stock market might even go back up. It doesn't matter. If the tariffs are in place, the price of everything is going to be very expensive, and it's going to kill off the middle class. And it's going to be a slow, long bleed, because he's not going to take these tariffs away. This is how you destroy the middle class. But this is the mindset. This is how they are hypnotizing people on national television. Here's a woman on national TV on Fox News who's worth millions of dollars, who says, I don't care about my 401k because I'm in it for the long run. I believe in the cause.
And he's delivering. And you know what? I don't really care about my 401k today. You know what? Not that I can afford it. Not that it isn't important. Not that I'm not at a point in my life when I should be worried about my 401k, because I am. But this is what I believe. I believe in this man. And I believe that what we're seeing now with his bringing in $1 trillion in business and manufacturing and companies moving back to the United States.
So all it takes is to put some of these talking heads on television to talk about, hey, Donald Trump's going to make America great in the long run. So we'll all suffer now. And people are going to go, when the stock market goes back up, they're going to cheer and they're going to go, see, told you so. The stock market went back up. But when they still go to the stores and they see the prices of everything and how many small businesses go out of business, they won't say a peep, right? And this is another thing I've got to show you, because Tucker Carlson has obviously always been a plant. He's always been one. It's amazing that people don't see it. People just seem to love Tucker Carlson, okay? Guy was on Fox News. He was on CNN at one point, okay? You don't get on those shows if you are, and those networks, I should say, if you aren't a government asset. And of course, we always see Tucker wearing his little red bracelet, which shows us who his allegiance is really to. He's not a Christian like he pretends and follows Jesus Christ, because if you wear that red bracelet and you know what that means and what those teachings mean in those books, which you could read with your own eyes, okay? They say that Jesus is in hell boiling in feces. The people who wear those red bracelets, right? That's a real cult. It's actually called the Synagogue of Satan. But here is, listen to this clown, okay? Because this is what they're doing. They're putting all this type of stuff out there. And it's working. You heard the person on Fox News, the woman talking about, I don't care about my 401k, right? And then you see Benny Johnson, you see all of the people on, they just repeat it. Monkey see, monkey do. They can just convince them, hey, you feeling a little down because you looked at your 401k today and all your money's gone? And it's like, 50% of what you had in there. It's going to take a long time for it ever to, they're like, I don't care. I don't care about it because Judge Jeannie tells me not to care about. And because people like this, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Besnett, explains the administration's new tariffs and why we had to do something to stop the slide. So, of course, Tucker Carlson supporting the tariffs. That means that his followers will support the tariffs. And listen to this guy lie. I mean, the stuff that he says is absolutely ridiculous. These are the talking points. 10% of Americans own 88% of the stock market. 40% of Americans own 12%. So the top 10%, the rich people, they own 88% of the market. So they're the only ones affected, right? And only 40%, the rest of people own 12%. So the middle class people, they don't barely have any money in there anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then he goes on this rant about how 50% of people are in debt. So he's pretending as if even the middle class doesn't have debt, right? Oh, the people who are in debt, well, they're going on European vacations. Apparently, the White House is getting data. I don't know if they're getting it from Booking.com, where they actually get this data, but somehow they're tracking and monitoring every single person who took a European vacation. And I'm sure they do have a way to actually do it, but we know that this guy's obviously a plant and a liar, especially when he tells us that he goes down to the local food bank, because while people are taking European vacations, more people are going to food banks now because they can't afford groceries. So they want to tell you that in the long run, this is going to be good for the groceries because we're going to bring in local farmers and help them again. But he doesn't mention all these other businesses that have products made in other countries that get shipped here that they try to sell, which of course these businesses will go out of business because they're going to have to sell their products for twice the price. Listen to this clown.
The top 10% of Americans own 88% of equities, 88% of the stock market. The next 40% owns 12% of the stock market. Bottom 50 has debt. They have credit card bills. They rent their homes. They have auto loans. We've got to give them some relief.
Message right there.
I was really struck by two different statistics. Summer of 2024, Americans took more European vacations than they had in history. Summer of 2024, more Americans were using food banks. I went into two food banks near my hometown. What's the story? And they said, it really takes, for a lot of people, it's a loss of dignity to walk in a food bank. Of course, that it wasn't their traditional clientele. It wasn't people who'd lost their homes. These were working families who could no longer, $100 at the grocery store. That basket of groceries every week, they were missing 5, 6, 7 things into the food bank to top up. So that's not a great America. Record European vacation, record food banks.
So totally believable, right? But this is all it takes. I mean, this is what hypnotism is. He says that, Judge Genie says that, a couple other alt-right media people talk about, I don't care if I'm losing money, and that's just complete brainwashing 101. You would think that people losing money and then having to spend more at the grocery store would unite people and say, I don't care who's in, this needs to stop. This is ridiculous. $5 for milk, $7 for milk, $10 for eggs. This is absurd, right? And then they go, well, buy local, right? Well, a lot of the local people are struggling to even produce food because the chemtrails in the sky are poisoning their crops every day, right? They're getting that acid rain down on their food, or they're sun shielding so that the crops don't even grow, right? So even if the stock market goes back up, and I'm sure it will, so that the left and right could go back and forth again about 401ks, it's what's going to occur in the long run. This is a national sales tax in disguise. And this is the transfer of wealth. The rich are getting richer and the mom and pop shops go away. That's what this is, even though they'll try to tell you that, well, no, it's going to help the mom and pop shops. Oh, yeah. How many companies in America? Think about some of these companies. You might say, well, maybe these companies should make the products themselves, right? Maybe some of these companies should, who outsource for shoes or outsource for clothes, whatever the store might be and what the product might be, okay? The store is going to have to pay more, whether it's copper, metals coming from Canada, or whatever gets shipped here from another country. And this, maybe it's a small mom and pop store that's trying to compete against Home Depot, which is obviously difficult. They've made it almost impossible for mom and pop shops to even exist. But let me play this clip of a guy. And, I'm not defending the guy or anything like that, but this is just, he sums it up pretty easily for people that are having a tough time understanding. Okay, the tariffs don't affect the countries. The tariffs affect the businesses who are selling the products from the country. So in other words, like I said, this guy talks about selling shoes, right? Well, we obviously know that you're not going to get American labor to make shoes like you would out in another country. But then all the people say, well, that's because you outsource it. We need everything to be done in the United States of America. Oh, yeah. Well, when everything's done in the United States of America, you kill off the small businesses, and all you do is reward the big businesses like Walmart and Home Depot and these other places. These types of guys like this, they lose their income. And that's the point. That's the point, because once they kill off mom and pop shops, once they take more and more control, once they bleed money out of the middle class, then we start looking at equal, high, universal basic income, right? Then we start looking at all these other things that they have planned for us, because they'll say, hey, you know, it sucks that all these businesses went out. We don't know what happened, but we'll help. We'll give you a universal basic income, right? But here it is explained in a nutshell.
Are you an idiot? I don't think you are, but some people sure do. They think if they tell you the same lie over and over and over again, that you'll eventually believe it. All of these are all products that we make that are imported from out of this country. An American small business owner, all these products that we designed, spent years developing, all of these came from Brazil, from China, India, Mexico. We are an American small business importing products that we designed from overseas. Who do you think pays these tariffs? Because I can tell you it's not the Chinese government. Look right here at who is paying these tariffs. Yes, that's our bank account, where we have paid $14,000 in tariffs in one quarter. With this one increase for one country, I have one container coming in that will have an additional $10,000 in tariffs due to the increased tariffs that were announced today. $10,000. The product is going to be 50% more expensive to our customers than it should be, because the US government will take that money out of my bank account whether I like it or not.
Right, that's pretty much how this works. You can have an opinion on, well, he shouldn't be outsourcing shoes from a third world country or not. But these are people who have businesses, and we're allowed to have businesses in the long run, right? And saying, well, you know, if I outsource here and I price it this way, I could make a living, I could put food on the table for my children. And really, that's all people should actually care about. And they shouldn't care about how other people make money, unless, of course, it's some disgusting act. Then they should be concerned and do something about it. But when it comes to putting food on the table, I mean, we live in a society that's grown so cold now, nobody cares. When people were losing their jobs during COVID, nobody cared. Nobody was going, hey, that's not fair that you're telling these people if they don't get it, then they can't have a job. The people were going, yeah, if you don't get it, you shouldn't have a job. Instead of going, well, if I get it and I'm immune, I shouldn't care if you get it because it's on you. You could die. Not me, I'm immune, right? Because that's the whole point of a shot in the first place, right? But again, people are cold. So all the people who even hear that guy talk are happy. They say, you should quit outsourcing, right? And you know what that means when he talks about 50%, right? So his shoes are going to go up 50%. And then the consumer. So the consumer's the one affected. But in reality, it's the business owner. Because who's going to pay 50% more for his shoes? Nobody is. They're going to go and find cheaper shoes on Amazon or at Walmart or from a U.S. company that's making the shoes, which are companies, I believe, like Skechers, right? And those aren't cheap shoes to buy, right? So what does it do? It gives more business to these places. It gives more money. It gives more of a monopoly on these things that they sell, on these goods that they sell. And it kills the small businesses, right? But these people will continue to talk about how billionaires are the ones losing money. In the long run, this is good for America because we won't outsource. So, great, well, we won't outsource to other countries. So then all these massive corporations in America will be the only ones in business and we'll be enslaved to them. And then, of course, we know what comes from there with universal basic income, right? Because the middle class goes away, which is what this is about. Okay, the middle class is pretending like this isn't about killing the middle class. It's about going after the globalists. They're the ones going broke. Oh, right. Even if those people were losing money, which they're not going broke. They're the ones who are creating this entire thing. They know ahead of time what the market's going to do. So whatever money they have in, if they do have money in their, if they do own stock in their own companies, they're taking it out or they're shorting their own companies. You don't think Bezos knows? You don't think Zuckerberg knows? They tell you that they lost this money because they go off of these fake statistics that they put out to the public, as if we really would know how much stock Elon Musk has in his own company, right? They're like, oh, that's public knowledge. Like, give me a break. Public knowledge. Yeah, sure. They put this stuff out for them to make it seem like, whoa, look, they're just like everybody else out there. It's the middle class who's invested in the market who are getting killed. But at the same time, even if the market goes up a little bit or it maintains, slowly people will bleed out money. because the price of goods is going to go up, because that's who is affected by this. Not the nations. People are like, China's going to really suffer. No, the people in all countries are going to suffer. And they are hell-bent on bringing in universal basic income. And they can only do that by killing the economy, killing the dollar, killing the middle class. And then, of course, making everybody look around and go, hey, we have no jobs anymore, right? Because at the same time, they're telling you that humans are going to be replaced with AI. Every day there's a story out there about how humans won't be needed anymore and AI is going to replace them. But everybody's so distracted with the nonsense that they push out there by design to make you focus on the nonsense, to make you look at your neighbor, to keep you divided and thus conquered. And propaganda like this is a perfect example, because you would think when it comes to, we all pay the same price for the goods, right? It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or a Republican. When you go to the store, you're paying the same price, right? They don't have a discount at Target if you're in the LGBTQ, right? If you're going there and you're getting an apple, you're paying the same amount as the conservative guy is, right? Okay, so this should be something everybody looks at and they go, hey, we're all getting screwed here. I don't care about your hair color or what you're doing in the bedroom. These people are elected by us, supposedly, of course. They're supposed to work for us, right? That's what this is. We know that it's not what it is, but the illusion of this, that's what it is. So you would think these people would look at each other and say, you're paying the same amount that I am. Let's unite on this front and tell these people to stop doing what they're doing. But MAGA, of course, is looking at this as it's great because they've been brainwashed into being nationalists. And if you only have to, they're so, it's all about USA. It's all about USA, right? And it's not about globalism, right? So they're even at the point where outsourcing things to other countries to them is like a no-no. Everything has to be done on American soil, right? Right. So they can't even focus on the fact that they're paying more money at the store because they don't want to. They want to ignore it. Just like the Democrats ignored when Biden was doing all this crazy stuff and gas prices were $6, They're just getting us everywhere. Higher prices on everything, lower amounts of food in the bags, which I talked about years ago or a year or two ago, right? The portions that they're giving you, nobody looks at that on the label. They don't notice, hey, wait, they're giving me 10% less in the rice bag that I'm buying. Yeah, they're giving you smaller portions and they're charging you more. And they're doing this, it's like like I've said, silent weapons for quiet wars, right? Well, that's what this is. But really what nobody realizes is that in the long run, this can continue on however they want. People are just going to bleed out and continue arguing with one another about political issues. And you see perfectly, like I said, it's dual communism. They're loyal to the party no matter what. That's what communism is. The Democrats won't question any of the nonsense that Biden was doing when they should have, right? They just went after the right. And the right sees all this crap that Trump is bringing in, AI governance, right? Which is incredible that they're ignoring that. The mRNA cancer cure, right? Getting rid of the penny out of circulation, all these things that they should look at and say, yeah, these are all kind of part of the globalist blueprint, right? I mean, I've already covered about a dozen since he's been in. These are the things off the top of my head, but no, they're not, because they're communists too. And they're just going, hey, I stand with Trump. I stand with my president, right? They tried to kill him. What he's doing is right. He's going to make America stronger, right? Right. I mean, this country could be on fire, and all they'll need to hear is the propaganda machine tell them, oh, man, Trump's saying America's strong, so I trust him. Trust the plan. Oh, it's going to take time. 2 years go by, and these people have no money. Oh, I trust the plan. Next thing you know, wait, Trump's out of office. What happened to the plan, right? What happened to draining the swamp, right? They just conveniently forget because they don't even realize that they're communists, too. They think that they're like, when you call a conservative communist, they're like, you're out of your mind. You're nuts. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy, right? Oh, okay. You're loyal to the party no matter what. You put the party above even yourself. These people are putting the party above their own bank accounts, their own future, right? It's incredible. It's incredible. But don't forget, folks, it's really the billionaires that are losing money. I mean, the propaganda machine is so unbelievable. Anybody that thinks Zuckerberg, Bezos, and Musk are losing more than $23 billion each, or whatever the fake quotes are, $900 billion in historic wealth wipeout. This is a transfer of wealth from us even more into their pockets. And again, making that bottom percent and the middle percent, like the middle class and the lower class, merge into one, right? And people in the lower class say, good, I want that. You shouldn't want that. You should not want that. It doesn't matter if you're invested. It's not good for any of us, okay? Because when universal basic income is in play, and then they start doing the stuff with the carbon footprint, you are literally a human slave. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.